Welcome back to another Movies with Andy. Today's movie is Undertone.
What if we unleash something?
And Undertone was produced by A24. So Undertone follows Evie. She is a horror podcast host who has sent 10 very scary audio files. And as she listens and starts piecing together the story, it just starts getting scarier and scarier for her. Oh, and she's also taking care of her dying mother in the other room. I know, crazy. But before we begin, this movie review is brought to you by Te Salud. I never in my life thought I'd be getting hydration and immunity from a delicious drink like piña colada. But there's not just this flavor, there's horchata, jamaica, mango, fresa, pepino, and so many other flavors. And not just hydration, immunity, but energy and focus as well, greens and superfoods, and the calm and sleep. And if you use my code ANDY10 that's on the screen right now, you'll get 10% off your next order. So hurry up and go use my code so you can taste some deliciousness like piña colada. Thank you so much, Te Salud. Now back to the review. So let me talk about things that I like from this film. You know, I always get sketchy because a horror movie in March is always really weird. But first off, this movie knows how to build tension. From the very beginning too, there's some very just like ominous music and someone singing in the background, and it just feels very weird. Like the whole time I was just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen? And there's not a lot of jump scares, which is good because I feel like they did a really good job with just building the environment and the scariness of this film, especially with the audio in this movie. So one of the taglines for this movie is the scariest movie you'll ever hear, because although there is some scary imagery in the film, the audio is like the scariest part, which they are a podcast, so they were emailed 10 scary audio files. And she's a skeptic, so she doesn't really believe anything paranormal or anything scary is actually real. So like as they go along, each one gets a little scarier and scarier, and little things just start happening throughout the movie. And the voice actors did an amazing job, especially portraying all the emotions and especially just being their voices throughout those 10 audio files. So Evie and her co-host Justin just listened to it and it gets pretty horrible. So yes, this movie did some pretty amazing things with just the audio in this film. But not just that, I feel like some of the camera angles that they really did with the Dutch camera angles were really good and it made you feel really uneasy. And then they do some pretty long one-shots that just stay with the character and it still stays there even if the character walks off, and then it just starts to slowly pan towards them. So which, like I said, it builds a lot of anticipation and not knowing what's gonna be at the end of that shot. So both the audio and visuals were very scary for this film. And it just made you feel really weird and uneasy throughout the whole movie. Well, at least I did. And then the actress that plays Evie did such an amazing job. Her name will be right here on the screen, because she has to portray a lot of emotions, especially with nothing really going on in front of her. Like I said, this movie is a podcast movie, so it is all audio based. So she just has to react to everything she's listening to. But some other scary things happen and she has to also react to those things. So she did an amazing job. Also, I don't really like movies that just take place in one area, but this movie did a really good job with its environment. It does take place just in one house, but this house is just super creepy and they're able to use that to their advantage. So it is Evie in most of the film and her mom throughout it all. But you do hear voices from her co-host and other people calling into the podcast. And of course, the two voices of the people in the audio files. And some other voices. Also, this movie is a slow burner, so just be warned. Because although it is building some scary and anticipation, there isn't a jump scare every 10 to 15 seconds. But it is scary. And that was some things that I didn't really like. So the next thing that I'm about to say is a negative and a positive at the same time. So there is a lot of religious imagery in this movie. So with that being said, they do stay on some of religious pictures for a good amount of time, which it does make you feel weird and uneasy, especially with this movie. But I feel like they overdo it sometimes. Like cool, if it's like a second or two, maybe even 5 seconds, but when it stays on there for like 10 to 15 seconds, I'm like, all right, cool, let's speed it up or let's go to the next shot. Yes, there may be some scary audio in the back, but I do feel like another shot could also convey that. Also, not just with the religious imagery, but they do fade to black a good amount of times in this film. And they stay in black for a good amount of time. This isn't a very long movie, so like those little moments that they do fade to black where they stay on those religious figures, it just feels like it took a big chunk of this film. So I just know that they were relying on all the scary audio. And another thing was that I don't know if I really like the ending. Like, they were just building so much throughout the film, especially with all the scary imagery and the audio, but the ending just did not stick for me. And this is a no spoiler review, so I can't really get into the ending, but I just do wish we got more from the ending. So now, would I watch Undertone in the theaters again? So yes and no. So yes, because the audio and the visuals really did a good job and I want to hear the audio in a movie theater again. But no, because it is a slow burner and like I said, the ending just wasn't it for me. So I feel like 90 to 95% of this movie was really good, but just like that other 5% just didn't let it be a great horror movie. But if you do love horror movies, you should go watch this movie. And I would love to hear your opinion because I feel like this movie is going to be very flip-floppy. I feel like some people are gonna love it and some people are gonna hate it. So I'm not the biggest horror movie fan, so please stop putting scary movies in March. So please let me know in the comments what you thought about Undertone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie reviews every week.